Finally, they're getting in front of it. This week, thank God, these fires subsided, and not without help. A lot of countries pitched in. Canada sent planes that helped us out, and Mexico sent firefighters. And Trump was like, make sure they leave when they finish.
It's time now for Consumer Confidential with David Lazarus.
That's right. Laz joins us here in studio. And today we're talking about how President Trump's immigration crackdown could affect care for the elderly.
Yeah, and this is clearly going to be potentially a very big deal going forward. And there's been a lot of talk lately about the looming crackdown on immigrants and how the Trump administration has made this one of its top priorities. Now, let's put some context on this. It's estimated there are roughly 12 million undocumented immigrants here in the United States right now, and they are, among other things, a cornerstone of the economy, because a lot of these people do some of the jobs that Americans just don't want to do. What we're talking about are jobs like picking produce or working in slaughterhouses or cleaning dishes and toilets, those kinds of things. But there's also a far more visible role for immigrants in the economy, and this is what we're talking about today, and that is home caregivers and nurses assistants. It turns out that roughly half of home caregivers in the United States are immigrants. Roughly a quarter of nurses' assistants are foreign-born, and, well, they come from various places of documentation. Some are here fully legally, some might not be quite so much, and some might be undocumented and being paid under the table by families who have an elderly family member who needs to be looked after. In any case, it's clear that the need for home health care is going to continue to grow as not just the baby boomers, but others start getting older and start retiring and are at home, and there is a huge need. In fact, it's expected that the need for home health care is going to boom by as much as 40% by the year 2037. The problem with the crackdown that's now looming is it's not only going to go after undocumented workers, it could bring in, well, people here who are here illegally as family members. They can get caught up in it, but also there's an emphasis on closing the border and making it very hard for immigrants to come into this country, and that could close the door on potential caregivers coming in and meeting this enormous need here in society. Now, that's not to say we don't need immigration reform. We do, and we have needed that for many years now. But the trouble is, this is a very, very complex situation, far more so than perhaps the current administration has led us to believe, not least because of the valuable economic and social role that these folks are playing, and I don't think we're prepared yet for the hit to millions of families if caregivers become unavailable.
Just one of the many industries that are going to be affected, of course, and people affected if and when these crackdowns take place.
I had a 90-year-old woman who lived next to us, and she had a Filipino caregiver who would walk her around the block every day, very visible. She simply would not have survived into her later years without the help of somebody at her home. And that's just a small example of the millions of such situations nationwide. And this is going to be a growing issue for this country.
This fire burned through thousands of acres in just the first few hours. Burning through brush, fire officials describe as critically dry. And this is an area that typically sees extremely strong winds during events like this. Tens of thousands of residents ordered to evacuate immediately in and around Castaic Lake. Fortunately, there's been no reports of damage or injuries from this fire.
A Fox 11 report on the Hughes fire this morning. That fire around Castaic Lake broke out yesterday morning and has burned more than 10,000 acres so far. Firefighters, though, continue to make progress on containing it. Meantime, we're getting a clearer picture of the ongoing fallout from the fires that broke out 2 weeks ago. The Palisades fire destroyed more than 6,600 homes and damaged many more. The neighborhood was mostly well off, and people there could afford to hire house cleaners and gardeners, and many of them are now without work. Thousands of jobs could be permanently lost, too, both there and in the Eaton fire zone. Monica Mota runs a small house cleaning business, and she lost multiple clients in the Palisades after their homes burned down, and she joins me now. Welcome to Press Play.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, so how many clients did you lose as a result of the Palisades fire?
Well, permanently 5 or 6 clients. You know, there's consequences of the same thing, like, you know, when the closures and stuff like that, like maybe 3 or 4, but those I'm getting it back. It's just like until everything goes back to normal.
Yeah. Oh, the people who were evacuated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 5 or 6 clients that you lost permanently, how big a part of your business was that?
Well, probably say it's very big part of my business because they were big houses. I have like 2, 3 girls like every single day in one of those places. So yeah, it was like 60%, 70% of my business probably.
Oh, wow. That's a lot. How many people work for you?
We're very small. Like permanently, we have 5 girls all the time, but on and off, like some of the girls like only work 1 day or 2 days, 10 total.
Okay. So they are all out of work, or have they found some work?
Well, me as a small business owner try to accommodate, and we have other clients, like Silver Lake or stuff like that. So I'm distributing whatever we have left between all of us. So that way we all have even a little bit, but we all like can have some, like not every single day. Some of them are like working just 2 days, and like I'm trying to fill it up here and there. I said either we all eat beans or we all eat meat.
Yeah.
So right now we all eating beans and rice, and we're surviving, but we're like very hopeful that we will get back.
Yeah. And I imagine also there's the added worry that there's this stepped up deportation drive on the part of the new administration in Washington, on the part of the Trump administration.
We were talking today about that, like that's like huge because now I don't have to just worry about bringing food to the table because of work. But on top of that, I have to worry about bringing food to the table because I'm afraid to go to the supermarket to do like the essentials and buy food because I don't know if immigration is going to be there, or like even taking the kids to the park. Like they're like, oh, on Sundays we used to go like to church and take the kids like to eat or something, but not anymore because we're afraid to do those basics. Like we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know if we should be able to go to the market and get food or go to church, or they're like very worried about that. Like they don't really know what's coming for them,
Mm-hmm. These are your workers. Are they all undocumented?
No, I will say half and half.
Mm-hmm.
Half documented, half are not.
So the half that are undocumented, they're afraid now to go to school, to church.
Yeah, but even though the ones that we are documented, we have family, we have friends, and it's still the same worry. Just because we are documented doesn't mean like we don't live. Like we know we have all of us. We have family members who have no papers, so all of us we have like closer friend, or all of us have somebody who has no papers, and like we share the same feeling.
Yeah. On top of that, they're talking about birthright and taking away birthright citizenship. So are you discussing that as well?
We did discuss that today, and I don't think that's even possible. I think it's unconstitutional, and that's going to face a lot of problems for the president. But I'm very hopeful that doesn't pass. Like that's something that I cannot imagine.
Yeah. In the meantime, the clients that you have in the Palisades who lost their homes, are they still paying you? Like in COVID, a lot of people kept paying the people who worked for them, even if they didn't come.
Only one said that, she was going to pay me for this month, but mostly not.
I see.
And I haven't even talked to them about coming back to work or like anything. Like I'm afraid to even touch the subject because I've been in touch with them to see how, like, hope you're doing good, or like, if you need anything, like just let me know. But that's very devastating for them. Like they lost more than just a home, they lost memories, they lost things that money cannot buy, like it doesn't matter how much money would you have, or you'll never prepare for catastrophe that way, like that big, you don't even know what's the feeling for them, like seeing a man crying when he calls me and he's like, I lost my house. it's not just the material. It's a lot more than that. When you have your house, you put like every single detail, a picture, piece of art, memory, even like your kids' height, like when they're growing, like the growing chart or things that are unreplaceable. So for me, talking about business right now is so cold that I don't even want to do it.
Yeah. Still, you have to survive, and it's your life
Yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, but I cannot lose the human part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just people who work inside the home as nannies or housekeepers. It's also gardeners too who've lost their jobs. Do you know any?
I know a couple gardeners that are in the same situation that they cannot even go back yet to that place because we have no access, and yeah, they lost job too. Like they're like, now what we're gonna do now? We hopeful that everything is gonna be in construction. But meanwhile, what do? We have to reinvent. We have to look other options. Fortunately for us, we come to this country to get a better life and provide a better life for our kids. So we are in survival mode and we are be proactive. What do we do now? Do we have to reinvent? Do we have to what do we have to do now?
Yeah. What are you doing now?
Making a lot of phone calls, calling people that I know and creating flyers. I'm going on other neighborhoods and put flyers about my business and, trying to see how can I get more business and maybe partner with somebody else that does something similar but adding services to the list of things that I do, so that way we can provide a little bit more service than just like housekeeping, like adding to like maybe windows or seeing like I'm looking I'm looking.
Yeah, it sounds really hard. So are you also eligible for government help like FEMA and maybe money from the Small Business Administration, something like that?
I will definitely start looking to see if I'm eligible for something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. You're not afraid because of what's going on in Washington?
I don't know if I would say we're afraid, but we have that sense of this is like a terror movie that we're living, the fires, the wind, the government, like what's next? We all share that sense. Like, this is a feeling that I've been here for 20 plus years and I never experienced something like that. Not even with COVID, we experience what we're experiencing right now. It just feel like as much as we hustle and we try, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you came 20 years ago from where?
From Guatemala. My mom was here. She came first and then she asked for me and my brother and we came after. So fortunately, we did came, when I was 18 and we've been here since then.
Yeah, and you made a small business and the American dream right there, an immigrant success story.
Yeah, that's who we are, and it's part of what we are every single day. I'm proud American, and I don't see myself going back as much as I love Guatemala, but like this is my place now,
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to figure it out right here.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the very best of luck in figuring it out and moving forward and succeeding.
Thank you very much.
It's Monica Mota, small business owner who worked in the Palisades before the fire.
Trump's a wild guy. He's a wild guy. I'll tell you something he did that made me crazy when he was running for president. When he was running for president, he said this at a debate. He said the Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, were eating people's dogs and cats. That really upset me because I live in Ohio. In fact, what's up, Ohio? I live one town over from Springfield. Now, those of you who are from Ohio, I hope you know that's not what's happening in Springfield at all. What happened in Springfield is a lot of jobs went away. 20,000 Haitian immigrants were moved there by our government legally, and they pay market value for their rents, and they saved a lot of companies because they did jobs that the whites weren't doing. It's not that the whites couldn't do these jobs, but they were busy, doing other things. Heroin, sleeping on the streets, you know what it is.
Among Donald Trump's promises for his first day in office, which is today, a mass deportation campaign. One sector this could impact is the dairy industry. Across the U.S., farms rely on immigrant workers who might not have a path to legal status. In Vermont, many farmers don't seem immediately concerned about losing their workforce. But farm worker organizations say they're worried about increased immigration enforcement worsening poor conditions on farms. Vermont Public's Elodie Reed reports.
Lupita lives in a house among a quilt of rolling farm fields. On a recent weekday, she fried plantains and heated up the Mexican drink atole for her kids and some visitors, a cozy treat for a chilly day.
¿Quieres plátano?
We're only identifying Lupita by her middle name. She's concerned about retaliation from the Trump administration, including detention and deportation due to her legal status. She's part of the community of between 1,000 and 1,500 Latino immigrants currently in Vermont to work on farms or to be with family members working on farms, mostly in the dairy industry. Lupita says she and her father left their home in Tabasco, Mexico, because they could no longer grow watermelons due to pollution. It was winter when they arrived in Addison County, one of the two biggest dairy counties in Vermont. Lupita was 16 and remembers the cold. She tears up while describing how hard it was to be away from her family.
Eran momentos muy difíciles porque yo extrañaba mucho a mi mamá y a mis hermanos. Era como, no sé, era muy joven, no hablaba el idioma y siempre me sentía muy sola.
Now at 30 years old, Lupita says that Vermont reminds her a lot of Tabasco. It's small, rural, and beautiful. And it's grown to feel like home.
Yo siento que me enamoré mucho de Vermont.
For decades, Vermont dairy farmers have hired immigrant workers due to a shortage in local labor. Despite this practice being widespread, there is currently no path to legal status available to these immigrant workers. The H-2A visa, for example, is seasonal, and dairy cows must be milked every day, year-round. The dairy lobbying group National Milk Producers Federation says it wants Congress to provide permanent legal status to current dairy workers and their families, as well as a viable guest worker program. In the meantime, the industry has had to contend with immigration enforcement.
What do blue lights mean? It means pull over and stop.
The federal arrest of two Vermont dairy farm workers originally from Mexico.
Justice organizer Brendan O'Neill says undocumented dairy workers are fully aware of the serious risks they face.
This has a real significant potential harm to Vermont farms.
What Trump's immigration enforcement might look like remains vague. An official from Trump's transition team declined to answer questions about immigrant farm workers specifically and instead sent a statement reading in part, quote, President Trump will enlist every federal power and coordinate with state authorities to institute the largest deportation operation of illegal criminals, drug dealers, and human traffickers in American history, while simultaneously lowering costs for families and strengthening our workforce, end quote.
So is he really going to sweep into some dairy operation and seize all their workers and make those farmers angry at him?
This is retired Vermont dairy farmer John Roberts.
I'm an optimist. I just don't see that happening.
And Roberts isn't alone.
So I think for most farmers, they're like, well, that's just unimaginable.
Dan Baker is a professor emeritus at the University of Vermont who has studied dairy labor for a couple decades.
For certain farms, when the farmer is injured, for example, or you don't have workers, that farm can go out of business very, very quickly.
Baker says farmers don't want to become a target by speaking up because they're stressed out enough as it is. Nearly a third of Vermont's dairies have stopped shipping milk in the last 4 years. Roberts was the only farmer, current or former, willing to go on the record for this story. State agriculture officials also declined to be interviewed. Before he sold his herd of registered brown Swiss cows in 2012, Roberts ran a dairy in Cornwall for 40 years. And in the final years of operation, he says he hired some workers from Mexico who were great tax-paying employees.
And we hired them through an agency with the assumption that the agency vetted their legality. I will say no more than that.
As someone who immigrated to the U.S. from Great Britain, Robert says while he agrees that border security needs to improve, so do this country's pathways to legal status.
Get them on the avenue to at least green cards or some kind of visa or ultimately citizenship.
Many farm worker advocacy organizations are opposed to policies like guest worker programs, which would guarantee dairy farmers a labor force without providing citizenship. Teresa Mares shares that view.
The immigration system is pretty violent against immigrant workers.
She's an associate professor of anthropology at UVM, where she studies immigration and the food system. She also sits on the board of the local immigrant farm worker advocacy organization Migrant Justice. And Maris says while the U.S. food system relies on immigrant labor, it also has a long history of exploiting workers and then criminalizing them.
Whether we're looking at internment, whether we're looking at, the selective importation of workers under the Bracero program and then the refusal to let them stay.
Maris says the threat of mass deportations follows this pattern. And what she says should happen instead is for the food system to give workers more of a say. For Lupita, who we met at the beginning of this story, it's a matter of ensuring immigrant dairy farm workers' human rights because they face long-standing issues with living and working conditions, including women workers regularly reporting sexual harassment. And one of Lupita's biggest worries is that because of Trump's threats of detention and deportation, immigrant farm workers will be afraid to speak up about mistreatment.
Porque a veces la gente, por el miedo a su estatus migratorio, aceptan cualquier trato de los patrones o cualquier abuso. What Lupita plans to do after Trump takes office is what she's done for many years: continue organizing with Migrant Justice. Among their victories, a housing and labor rights program called Milk with Dignity, access to driver's licenses, and state policy aiming to reduce collaboration between local police and immigration authorities. Lupita says farm workers raising their voices against injustice is how to move forward. El mundo no se va a detener porque Trump sea presidente. Como yo sigo organizando, mis compañeros tienen ganas de organizarse, como tenemos que seguir haciendo esto.
President Trump's second administration begins today. For Vermont Public, I'm Elodie Reed.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans have said?
I really don't know. Could be.
Right now, Costco shareholders are meeting, set to vote on whether or not they should look into how DEI policies could hurt the company's bottom line. This has been, as you know, a hot-button topic in both the federal government and private companies, too. And tonight, you've got Costco's board of directors holding its ground unanimously, asking shareholders to reject this proposed evaluation, saying that the company's commitment to an enterprise rooted in respect and inclusion is appropriate. It's necessary. Now, that is in contrast to some other big private companies that have totally cut out or at least cut back on their DEI programs lately. Remember, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs have been around for decades, but they really came to the forefront back in 2020 after the murder of George Floyd in Minneapolis renewed the push for these initiatives at big companies. Brian Chung is joining us now. This is a thing, Brian. I mean, this is one of the things that we've talked about in the context of where I am in Washington with Donald Trump, President Trump, rolling back the federal government's DEI initiatives that President Biden put in place. You're seeing it in the private sector, too, right? And this Costco thing is one example of that.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, there are a number of companies that, this type of kind of debate could be extending to next when you think about some companies that have been holding steadfast in their diversity, equity, and initiative policies. I'm thinking of companies like, for example, Apple, Microsoft, JP Morgan Chase, Pinterest, and Costco, which, as you mentioned, is facing this shareholder vote right now, presently, over whether or not they should do some sort of review over their diversity, equity, and inclusion. Again, just to kind of underscore the argument among those that are anti-DEI policies, they say that it's sucking up valuable resources within the company for types of policies that could be exclusionary in the hiring process. And I want to point out just kind of what this group, which has lobbied this challenge against Costco, has tried to argue here. This is the National Center for Public Policy Research, and they're saying that there could be risks on the company in maintaining its current DEI roles, policies, and goals. But Costco is fighting back, saying that the shareholders requesting that the board conduct an evaluation and publish a report report that they say, I'm sorry, I'm reading from the wrong quote here, but they say that they disagree and that they further study and reporting would not be an efficient use of company resources. So there is kind of this debate here happening on the shareholder front over the cost of the company. That's the reason for why this kind of think tank is trying to put this argument out there, saying that this is actually going to cost you as a shareholder. Again, the company itself, Costco, saying that they disagree with that. Whether or not shareholders decide to vote in favor of that view remains to be seen, and we'll probably know in the next hour or so, Hallie.
For companies, it really feels like for many of them, for some of them, it may be about their bottom line, right? As they're looking at the balance here between the business, the social, the cultural, et cetera.
Yeah, and look, I think that at the end of the day, it is kind of a spectrum when it comes to the DEI policies that are under review here. There is a noticeable difference between, quotas that companies might have in place to hire people of certain backgrounds versus policies that are designed to protect employees from racism. And by the way, I want to point out that there's also already existing federal infrastructure against hiring practices that would be discriminatory. That's really not necessarily a DEI issue. Right. That's something that has already existed prior to all of this debate. But nonetheless, it's very much a conversation that is coming for corporate America, as we're already seeing on the federal government front, that those changes are already being undertaken by President Trump. And even at the state level, we just heard from the state of Texas, actually, 9 state attorneys general in addition to Texas trying to go after major financial institutions on DEI this afternoon as well. So this is happening at a pretty rapid pace, Hallie.
Sure is. Brian Chung, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Before we begin our last story tonight, let me ask you this. What is your biggest priority at work? Is it the paycheck? Is it career growth? Or maybe a healthy work environment? It could be anything. We ask because recently a global survey was held. It was conducted by the world's largest employment agency. It asked people what they prioritize at work, what motivates them at their current workplace, and how do they choose the right job. This survey has been conducted for more than 2 decades now, but this year's findings may surprise you. For the first time, this is the top motivator for people: work-life balance. In recent years, it has soared in importance, but this year it outranks pay. Work-life balance has replaced salary as the leading motivator. Look at the data. 83% workers say that work-life balance is the most important to them, and this is compared to 82% workers who choose pay over all else. Now, the margin is not huge, but the data shows a shift in mindset. That yes, compensation is still very, very important, but people have other expectations as well. They increasingly want work to be part of their life and not their whole life, and they're willing to fight for it. Almost half have asked for better conditions at work. They have opted for flexible work, and almost a third have quit their job when their expectations were not met. Now, such demands are more common among the young, but not limited to them. According to the survey, this is a side effect of the pandemic. It came years ago, but it brought along a corporate revolution of sorts, which has more or less stuck around. Now there is a new baseline in the world of work. Global talent is looking beyond the paycheck, seeking flexible hours, wanting to spend more time with family, prioritizing health and hobbies. And this is the new age of work, or what many call the age of anti-ambition. With this shift, critics are slamming the loss of productivity, executives are railing against remote work, bigwigs are calling for 70, 80, 90-hour work weeks. And they have a point too. If you want the corner office, you have to go above and beyond. Your job description cannot be the finish line. You have to put in the work. And sometimes, or often, your work has to be the center of your life. But one thing is worth keeping in mind. Careers are not linear graphs. People rev up or rev down at various points in their life, and work-life balance is all about that. It is not about shirking responsibility or pulling a Joe Biden and spending much of your time on vacation. It is about creating reasonable boundaries at work and at home. Study after study proves that this has benefits. It is good for us and for companies. It is linked to a healthy lifestyle, and this does not mean less profit or loss of productivity at work. In fact, there is a boost, because ultimately, it is not the number of hours, but the quality of work that really matters. So workers are on the right track. They're trying to strike that balance. And if you want to jump on the bandwagon, experts have a thought experiment for you. This is a two-step formula. The first step, grab a pen and paper and jot down the things that you value, like career progression or health, parenting, friendship, whatever it is that you want. How important is each of these to you? Rate them out of 10. Then rate them again. This time, score yourself on each of these. The numbers show what matters to you and what you need to work on. So you will know where the balance is off. That is the first step. Now the second step. Think about the cost of this imbalance, like burnout or poor health or debt. This is the price that you pay. Sometimes circumstances are to blame for it. Not everyone can afford a perfect balance, but some things must be in your control. Figure out what they are, then push it where it moves. So get back to the drawing board, this time to redraw the line between your work life and your life life.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, January 24, 2025. So I have been told. This is our weekly summit, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. Especially if you, in this new year, so-called, have figured out a few tidbits, strategies, techniques that are helpful for the workplace. Minimize conflict, strategies. Hey, we did have the Dr. King holiday this week, so race soldiers come by and try and be snippy and ask you about your favorite fried chicken recipes for the King holiday, or what type of fried chitlins you had for the holiday. Anybody that figured out any techniques that are useful, minimizing abuse, minimizing conflict with other non-white coworkers, all of that is gold metaphor. So you should not be keeping that to yourself. Let us know. Your cousins, we would love a constructive strategy that will help us out in the workplace. The number, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. We'll get to some of the news clips and such, and then folks who emailed, called, all that good stuff. Number one, this is, we had the inauguration, right, on Dr. King's holiday, no less. We broadcasted earlier this week. I cannot emphasize enough, no politics on the job. Now, I know in some, many workplaces now, 2025, many workplaces, they have TVs on the job, either for the patrons, co-workers, everybody, and or even some jobs, they allow you to, have your phone or whatever so you can watch your own little personal TV. If you work one of those types of jobs, and maybe they watched the inauguration all day Monday. Crazier things have had. Hey, sometimes they sit around and watch football and the Olympics and all kinds of other wackiness. So that, pales in comparison, as they say. Even if you're viewing all this and you see, Trump come in and take the oath of office, and oh, there's the first lady, and oh, there's old Beezy, wonder if he's going to say something about us no-count black dudes. Even then, where we all know you're watching this live, they come in, hey, what do you think about that old 47? What do you say? I'm back. Even then, You don't have nothing to say. And you can even think out in advance what you're going to say. They come around and say, hey, Leroy, what do you think? Isn't it something, man? He back up there and getting it. You see Obama up there? Or if you got to verbalize, it's something. I'd have lots of little tidbits in there. And, hey, did you see that? Right? And even that's with a question. RIGHT question mark. Right? Then you get on back to work. It's something. And you get on back to work. You'd have lots of little phrases like that, but this is not the time. I was just waiting to give my view on this, and that old rotten scoundrel Obese in there too, and I got good 5 minutes on him too. None of the above. Even if you work with all black people, I've said that before, if you work with all black people and they got 8 great grandparents all born in North Carolina, switch it up, even then you are not chit-chatting and, oh, it was lame and I can't believe that no count coon Snoop went up there and performed and yum, yum, yum. None of the above. Unless your job is like political analyst. That's what you do. Go ahead, knock it out of the park. But I mean, if you are a heart surgeon, why are you up here telling us, what you thought about the inauguration and what they had on and who was there, and ain't it a shame that he pardoned those people from January? None of the above. Keep all that to yourself. And like I said, I would think in advance, because it's likely to happen that someone might ask you, what do you think about all this? Did you watch all this? Did your guy win? Do you, aren't you excited about this? If someone asks, or coworker, like I said, what will you say? That way you won't be surprised. You already have your words together, how you want to say it. And then, like I said, your actions, get right back to work. Now, audio segments that we heard, they started off and they talked about, oh man, if number 47, if he's serious about this and they get the rolling and booting these, folks who are not documented, non-white people, if they're serious about this and they get to booting these folks out, oh man, we might be missing some employees. And they said that, a number of times this week. I could have popped just California alone. All those wildfires and such, they had whole articles like, now, whoa, wait a minute now, Donald. I know we've had squabbles and things, and, you talk about Kamala Harris representing all that is wrong and malignant about the golden state that is California, but man, you can't be booting out all the non-white people, all the wetbacks, as they say. Who gonna rebuild the houses, man? We need wait a minute, you gonna send off all the labor? Wait a minute, we got fire ain't even that. Matter of fact, you got any extra firefighters down there that we can borrow for a minute? Wait a minute. then once we get them out, yes, we gonna need Pedro. We gonna need Gomez. Like, wait a minute, we got all this work to do, and you talking about sending folks back? Man, come on. They had tons of reports that were just like that, just about, like I said, California specifically and the wildfires. Then they said, whoa, we got all these elderly. One more time, the silver tsunami. We got all these elderly and aging, decrepit white folks who've had decades to practice. Did old Joe Biden ride off into the sunset? Might need a little elder care. President Trump said he's losing it. He's not all there. He's getting a little senile. And they go and round up all these non-white people to come in and take care of them and change their diapers and depends and all the rest and brush up my dentures and all that good stuff. No disrespect to any elderly folks. Just saying. But see, even when they get to all that, I don't want to hear nothing about these are the white people that are not racist. Not all white people. I don't want to hear nothing about that. Nothing. Even in this report, because, man, you use the good white people. You use these non-white people who are not documented and not making, an amazing salary by any stretch. You dump your elderly relatives on them. Say, look out for them, because I ain't got no time to look out for ma or grandma, auntie, or whatever. I ain't got no time to look out for them. We got things to do, and yachts and boats. I appreciate that trust fund, but yeah, I ain't got no time for all that. Gomez, whatever it is, Marissa, get in here, and yes, look out for Marguerite's mom, father, whatever it is. Look out for them. We'll call, next year sometime once we get back from Fiji. That sort of thing, like, dang, they don't even care about, and they got a long history of that. Matter of fact, that's driving Miss Daisy. Hoke, you my only friend. They just switched up the non-white people, but dumping off their children and or elders onto niggers and victims of racism, that's like the whole history of white supremacy racism. So, no, that doesn't mean you're a good white person for doing this. And furthermore, if there was really some value, like, I don't have time to hang out with mom or dad or grandma now that they're in their 80s or 90s or whatever it is. And, they did do a lot. They invested a lot on this here plantation to make it so great for us. I still want them to be good in their old days. Hey, why don't you hook up these non-white caretakers so that they can be documented? They said at least a green card, right? If you don't want them to be permanent, right? At least hook them up with a green card or what have you so they can be here legally and work for, 5 years or whatever. And then we'll come back and revisit, see if their services are needed. But hook them up, and a living wage so they're not struggling and all the rest of it, so they could be here and do a great job looking out for your elders. How about that? Is that reasonable? Is that crazy talk, right? Okay. They had the report, and really talking about the same thing. They had the segment. They were not talking about, well, it is what I said with California. They were talking about non-white people who worked in the houses for the folks in California, and the houses burned down. So now they don't have those houses to go and clean. And again, these are like low-skilled jobs that they're talking about, doing the laundry, cleaning the bathroom, taking out the trash, landscaping, that sort of thing. Important jobs, but like this would be the same sort of thing where white people are not going to pay you a ton of money. Now, they're working out in ritzy Southern California near Hollywood, so these white people might pay, substantially more, but even then, this is not, you're not going to be owning no property, and really that's why they're talking about these people are struggling. Like, dang, now we lost all this work. And even they asked KCRW SoCal Public Radio, they asked, hey, are any of the clients, presumably lots of white people, are any of them continuing to pay you? During COVID-19, we had the work shut down and everything. Some of the folks who had, folks come and work at their house and do landscaping and all that, presumably non-white, so-called undocumented laborers, they paid them anyway during COVID, even if they couldn't come and do the work. Did that happen for you? No. Didn't need no translation, nothing. Closed caption, no. Just one client. Now, I guess it could be all those other folks are hurting too and all the rest of it, but I mean, if these are the wealthy white people who are owning multi-million-dollar homes out there, I'm sure a lot of these folks, they're insured. They're going to be made whole. They're going to get what they need to rebuild and do it right and all the rest of it. Like, dang, this person been there and looking out and making your house and your living experience so it's not a pigsty. You got this multi-million-dollar property, and then too lazy or too busy or a little bit of both to even clean it, so you got to rely on broke non-white people. At least you can make sure that they're whole while they get through all this too, since they got less resources and are more vulnerable. Nah. Maybe they take the same position that I've heard from some others, where they say, hey, these folks are illegal and they shouldn't be here anyway. Cool in the gang. If that's the case, you shouldn't have hired them to begin with, right? You had the folks come through and give those old lazy, well, I assumed that they had been properly vetted to begin with. You know what they say about the assuming. They talked in Vermont. Now, even when I heard that about Vermont, I said, man, white genetic annihilation. We've heard the state of Vermont before, even though I've never been to that area of the world. They were paying recent college graduates to stay in that part of New England because they don't have enough people. They don't have enough white people having children. Please stay, get married, Do something. We got cool things to do. Talk about Tom Brady or anything. Or what you want to talk about. You talk about anything. You don't want to talk about Tom Brady. Forget Tom Brady. We'll talk about what you want to talk about. But please stay. Have some children. Lord Jesus. White genetic annihilation. That's what I thought about. And you see it again. We don't even have enough white people to come in here and get the darn milk. Dang. I don't think that's a high-skilled job, like milking a cow. Like, I don't want to do it. But, I mean, dang, they say we already got enough problems. The dairy industry, everybody around here drinking oat milk and trying to be vegan. We got enough problems. We're going to be trying to worry around here in the car and worry about every immigrant who hopped the border or some nonsense. In fact, we don't even have enough white people to get the milk from the cows. We need workers. Same thing they said in Ohio. Dave Chappelle. White genetic annihilation. Dr. Wells is seeming like she could be accurate for sure. And even the symbolism of that, we don't even have enough white folks to get the milk. Cows, indeed. Let's see. The cutting of diversity, equity, and inclusion, whatever that means. I'm not upset about any of this. Was not picketing or, oh my goodness, that's what you get for not going out and rallying every single black person, non-white person possible to vote in the election. Like, oh my goodness, look at what hell hath wrought. No more D. I never thought that way ever. If anything, what I thought, oh man, admitted racist Jane Elliott is out there quivering. Matt, all them honorarians I done stacked up $10,000 to go here and $15,000 to go here, $9,000 to go yonder. All that you gonna take all that out my hand? Oh, agony. Oh, Father. That's what I was thinking. Like, you got a whole lot of white people who have been on the gravy train. And on the tombstone of George Floyd, no less, since 2020. I can go out and speak here and go out and speak there. You've had a lot of white people to do that and make a lot of coin. Man, I say we're going to cut back on all that. And even before George Floyd, really, because they did say in the report that they've had so-called diversity, inclusion, equity programs for a long time, for sure. And Timothy Wise, Jane Elliott, Robin DiAngelo, admitted and suspected racists, all of them. Those are the types of folks who have cleaned up on these type of programs. Like, how many times did Neely Fuller Jr. get an honorarium to come in and do some DIE speaking, pontificating about his views on counter-racism in the workplace, all the years that he's talked about it and helped non-white people who are having difficulties on the job, and even he himself, how many times did he get called? That's what I'm saying. And any of you all, do you know any black people? You know, they got called and, man, my phone is just ringing off of the hook, and white people and non-white people and, public and private folks want me to come in and say a few words, 30 minutes here and 45 minutes there, and give my little spiel on what to do. And, oh, man, document, I tell them about that, and no racist jokes and all that good stuff. I haven't heard that. Maybe I missed it. Let's see. We heard Costco. I do shop at Costco. They had Costco out here in Seattle. They have a number of vegan goodies. They certainly have produce, but I'd have been upset if Costco had acted a fool and been like, ooh, someone asked, like, dang, Costco said they're dumb. Now, actually, if they had said, Costco had said, we're getting rid of DIE, again, I would have just thought, well, dang, I guess that means Jane Elliott won't be doing any of the demonstrations and giving out any of the vegan egg roll samples or cashews. They had vegan egg rolls when I went to Costco last, vegan egg rolls and vegan sushi at Costco. I was staggered. Like, man, and I have been to Costco here in Washington State, and then I've been to Costco like in Washington, D.C., like close to Virginia, DMV area. Whoa. All Costcos are not created equal. I went out there and I asked for tofu, which isn't even a big deal. Like, they have tofu in bulk out here. I mean, they have tofu in bulk at the regular grocery store out here. Like, that's nothing, you know. I asked in Washington, D.C., thinking that I was, still back in the 206, Washington is Washington. I said, where's the bulk tofu? Man, that Costco employee who happened to be a privileged black male, he looked at me so tough. What did you say, Leroy? Never mind, I'm sorry, black brother. Sorry, thank you. I did not find no tofu at the Costco. I looked and even enlisted help from others, but it doesn't seem that they have bulk tofu at the Washington, D.C. Costco. Out here in Seattle, it is plentiful. And vegan egg rolls and vegan sushi. And they're keeping the DIE program, so it might even be the next time when I come around, it will be Jane Elliott passing out vegan egg rolls. Lame. Let's see. The report on they cut the so-called, or not they cut, the work-life balance, as they say, that this is the new import for employees and they're willing to fight for it. Now, I processed all of that as time and energy, that my job is not supposed to be my life. This is not supposed to be the totality of my existence. Probably would be the case even if I own the company. That might change if it becomes, a multi-billion-dollar enterprise or something like that. I don't know. Maybe Jeff Bezos does feel that, Amazon is his life. He might feel that way. But I mean, if you're working, cleaning the floor, sanitation, really most of the jobs in the system of white supremacy, racism, even being president of the United States, this is not my life. I mean, you have to do a whole lot of things before you get to that point. Presumably you can live a long life afterwards. So like Jimmy Carter, he lived a long life afterwards. So this is not the totality of my life. I have other things that I want to do and other interests and all of that. Balance. Fuller talks about that, right? Balance between people. Balance. It can't be in it. They unbalance it in lots of ways. It becomes unbalanced with regards to your time and energy when they start doing things like calling on your day off, your vacation. Oh, Leroy, can you come in? Or do you know where this file is? Did you put that folder back in your desk? And all that old nonsense. That type of a thing where they start eroding at your time and energy. No. This is when I'm supposed to be in. Even thinking about that for yourself. And that would be something you should be thinking about for yourself and talking to your children about in terms of your time and energy. What is your life about? What is the value? What is the worth of your time and energy? Again, Dr. John Henry Clark, he said, hey, that is something that is finite. Ain't got no bulk time and energy at the Costco, Sam's Club, or no other bulk retail outlet. That does not exist. And you don't even know how much of it you got. Did you get a teaspoon of time? Or are you going to be one of them, you're going to be around here for, like I said, you're going to need, hopefully they do have 2 or 3 non-white people that hop the border, somebody that will help you get to the bathroom once you hit 84. You don't even know, see. Since that is the case, hey, I cannot be wasting my time. They got the wildfires too. Even if you do eat well and such, they'll burn you up. You don't even know. I cannot be wasting my time and energy. And I can't be giving all of my time and energy to my job. That's something to even be thinking about too. If you have to commute and all the rest of it, like they were talking about, am I going to have a 70-hour work week? 60-hour work week, and then if a commute on top of that, do I even have time to do anything to live, to replace white supremacy with justice once I get done working? System is designed to have lots of non-white people where that's not even a thought. You have non-white people, they have to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Sleep, on the commute, maybe you fall asleep on the subway when you're riding in between jobs or something like that. You eat a sandwich and wash up on the train in the commute in between jobs, and you just keep work and do that until you die. That's what the system is set up for, No constructive use of time and energy, and to really not even think about how our time and energy is stolen from us and just used to support the system of racism. But really important to think about. My suspicion would be it would be a lot more individuals classified as white who are going to be in that position. It was more of them in that work from home position to begin with, and then the white defiance, I'm not going to get a vaccine and all that. Even Trump, that was part of the pardons he reinstated. It was some of the non-white people who didn't want government employees who didn't get the vaccine and got terminated and all that. They got reinstated and back pay. I said that's a part of the white defiance right there, along with January 6th. But white people are in a much hardier position to, I'm going to fight. I'm not going to do, X, Y, and Z on the job. You're not going to make me, and I'll quit. And they're in a much tough, I think non-white people, we would have way less leverage in a workplace. In fact, you all can let us know. Has that been you? Have you been, I'm a speaker. I got a whole lot of blacks. I am feeling Dr. Kamal Kamban. His spirit just has invigorated me. And man, I'm ready to go tooth and nail, metaphor, and grapple for everything. I'm trying to get some of my work from home days back. I'm trying to get more days off. I'm trying to get more sick time. I'm trying to get a flexible schedule where I can leave. I need more PTO. Like, boom, I got a long list of things I need to improve my quality of work existence. If that's you all, let me know. But I do not. I cannot imagine that for non-white. Like, what, this uppity nigger? We gonna get somebody else. I see, that's what I would see. Especially, they've been saying since COVID that it's been a lot of black people struggling to get jobs back, especially black males. It's hard for me to see them being uppity and making a whole lot of demands about the improved treatment that they expect in the workplace. But you all let me know. See, if you've been standing up for yourselves. Let's see. The number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. So we had the Dr. King holiday on Monday. So hopefully we had lots of non-white people, at least in the U.S. Hopefully we had lots of non-white people who had that Monday off. I guess they call that 3-day weekend. You could do something constructive, sleep, eat well. You get a little bit of time. And hopefully they didn't harass, call, and snicker and make jokes and things. Oh, you got the chitlins on. Don't burn your chitlins. Don't burn your chitlin. Hopefully they didn't do none of that. They let you enjoy the day. You got to come back in on Tuesday refreshed. But if they did get tacky and trifling on Tuesday or even the lead up, right, last week going into it, right, knowing that you all weren't going to be there on Monday, and then they piled on once they got back this week, let us know. That's the sort of thing that you should not be surprised about. That is so consistent, like they got it on the calendar. So, I mean, you can kind of time that up and expect it. And then sometimes they just parlay that right into February for Black History Month starting up next week. So let us know about that. And certainly the election, as I said, if any of that, maybe they watched it at work or had people talking about it, the newspaper, or maybe you're even in Washington, D.C. Who knows? If that did come up, you can let us know. If you had, great strategies in deflecting, they try to pull you in something to get you to talk about President Trump or say something, talk about your feelings on the election, what have you. Maybe, like I said, if they watched it, oh, did you see Obama? What'd you think? Blah, blah, blah. No discussing politics in the workplace. Let's see. Okay, now we will get one email. And then we'll nab some of the folks who dialed in. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. Number one, after months of being missing in non-action and an absence of communication on her whereabouts, inebriated Annie returned to work last week. I'm not sure what, if any, work she is doing, but her team's avatar has appeared at several meetings. Well, right on. I hope she latch the petty cash. 2. Right-wing Ashley has been supporting me on projects since November, but Zoe is still her line manager. It's a standard arrangement in our organization. 3. This is the first time I've worked this closely with right-wing Ashley, and up until this point, thought she worked well. At the beginning, Zoe and Shauna indicated right-wing Ashley needed support in certain areas. I wasn't overly concerned, but could tell they didn't think too highly of her. We are a small team, so I need right-wing Ashley's assistance. 4. As the month progressed, right-wing Ashley's weaknesses have become more apparent, which in itself isn't a problem, as no one is perfect, for sure. But she is also very sneaky, intentionally doesn't follow instructions, and lies when things go wrong. What do you mean intentionally doesn't follow instructions? That's dang. Like you lay it out and say, do it X, Y, Z. They say, tell me what to do. I'm going to do D, Q, and F. Now, you don't tell me X, Y. I'm going to D, Q, and F. Because I'm like, that's intentional. Like, I'm not going to do it like that. Or like, this happens a lot. This is not a one-time thing. This is over and over. The directions are unambiguous. You add, do you have any questions? Boom, boom, boom. X, Y, Z. That's how you do it. And then you come in and say, wait a minute, you got D and Q. You did this again. We went over. Is that sort of thing? It's like that is like that sort of thing they generally would not tolerate from niggers. If that had been you or me, they just like every week, every other month, we've come in and told you to do it this specific way, and this isn't even a whoops. I'm just an ignorant. I am willfully defiant in doing it my way. You ain't no Negro Frank Sinatra. Beat it. Beat it. She continues. Let's see. She lies when things go wrong. Oh, I heard that lots. 5. She makes silly mistakes that she shouldn't be making at her level and pay scale, so I have to check everything because I can't trust her, which is a distraction from my work. Now, that sort of thing, now she said it that way, silly mistakes, then that would, in my mind, like, maybe this is intentional. Like, she's deliberately messing up. Like, I don't know what the errors are, but whatever it is, like, typos, let's say that. Grammatical errors or whatever, that she should know that this is not what it is, where maybe she's doing this so that then she can blame it on you, or like that sort of thing. Like, oh man, I could vomit. Let's see. Number 6, I've given her extra time to produce pieces of work so that she can apply herself and give me a quality product, but for some reason, arrogance, she keeps sending things ahead of the deadline. Ordinarily, that would be fine if the product was the standard expected, which is rarely the case. There's not a whole lot better than an arrogant, incompetent race soldier. Like, woo! 7. It found out from Shauna today that right-wing Ashley had been asked by Zoe to prepare a report to senior managers. Zoe had made changes to the document, then asked right-wing Ashley to send the report to the senior team. 8. Right-wing Ashley apparently disagreed with Zoe's amendments because she sent both versions of the document to the senior leadership team, who were obviously confused why they received the extra version. They stated they preferred Zoe's version. Uh-oh. Even so, right-wing Ashley had attempted to undermine Zoe, her manager. See there, this is so typical of the system of white supremacy racism, as opposed to let's just get the job done. You got white people here brawling and lying and conniving and undermining each other on a project. We're all supposed to be working together on this. Why would it be all this your line and trying to mess her up and undermine what she's working on? We're working on the same project. Why would that be the case? And I always think that's important to kind of note and remind ourselves when these type of things happen, because you got, presumably, these are white people mistreating each other and squat. Maybe she got a promotion or was talking to a cute fella in the office that the other one, liked a lot or whatever. But these are white people that are squabbling and don't get along. I'm not even white. So what are they going to do to me? That's the sort of thing that I say is important to keep in mind. Even if it's a white person that smiles a lot and seems like they are courteous, hey, being classified as white means a whole lot that we can't even begin to understand at this point. Let's see. Number 9. When confronted, right-wing Ashley claimed it was an accident. See, that lied on what? Oh, no. I love me some Zoe. Oh, no. I wouldn't dare mess up old Zoe. No, we just got wires crossed and everything. It's just mixed signals. That's all it is. It's been stressful and the holiday hangover. And, we had that Dr. King holiday on Monday. It's rascal. See, they just lie and lie and lie. 10. And to top it off, right-wing Ashley thinks she should be promoted. Of course, she applied for a role in another branch of the organization. This job requires 3 days in the office. Right-wing Ashley is dyslexic and has ADHD, so until recently had returned to working in the office 1 day. I was going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I couldn't. 1. I could do it the other way. 3, 2, 1. There, Jeff Bezos. I thought he just said, we're done with the shift. That says y'all are getting back to work. Non-Clemson daddy said, man, y'all are messing it up. We got businesses going, floundering downtown and places, empty offices. People aren't even paying for all this high retail office space in places like Seattle and beyond. Nah, it's over with. It's over. Y'all are coming 5 days a week. That's what Bezos said, and they had other places to follow. 1 day, and that's what I said too. Now, I don't know. Maybe the young lady that's writing this, maybe she can, make her schedule out so that she can come in 1 day a week. Maybe that's the case. I didn't hear from whole lots of you all saying, man, Gusty, you can be real easy on that workplace racism because I'm going to be in my footies 4 out of 5. That's 80%. 4 out of 5. I'm going to be in my footies. Feet propped up on my desk. I'm going to say my desk, Gusty, because this correct possessive adjective. I'm in my residence, my desk, 4 out of 5. Now, I didn't hear no whole lot of that. I heard a lot of that for white people. Even once the mandate was there that you're supposed to be back. I don't know, man. I got the dyslexia and my ADHD acting up and my medication got switched over and I can't think right and inebriated Ashley sleeping on my couch. I got lots of things going on. I'm being 1 day a week. Come on. Being white, man, it's a lot that goes with being classified as white. A lot. And that's one right where the rules don't even apply. Let's see. How would you even imagine how many of you all out there, no disrespect to anybody who has dyslexia, ADHD, anything like that, medical problems, or, that's legitimate. Nobody's perfect and everybody got medical problems. You stay here long enough, you're going to have some medical problems. But how many of you all think you classified as Negro, male or female, child even? You think if you were dyslexic, ADHD, you think you could get a high-level job? Anyway, let's see. She refused. She's doing 1 day a week. It's supposed to be 3. She refused to go into the office for 6 months. Is that like at a time she refused to go into? Like what? What kind of Negro option? Now, I want to see that one too when Leroy say, man, my mental health is, they got George Floyd out there and I ain't seen Al Sharpton in a minute. I'm going to have to stay home for a few months. Well, when you going to be able to come back, Leroy? I don't know. It's just been hard and my pecan-sized brain can't take it. I'm I'm going to commune with Al Sharpton, and we're going to talk it over, and I'll let you know. What? Come on. She said the 1 day a week arrangement is because apparently the way the office is decorated affects her ADHD. Sensory. Oh, are you serious? Y'all got gnomes in the office too? They put the gnomes up and pointed them at her and said, oh, they got the midgets going to get me. I can't we got to get her. Come on. Why? That's what that lie. Wife would just lie. They lie and lie. How about this, young lady? This was hey, how about we all want to support your health and well-being. We got a pad right here and some chamomile tea. We want you to have a sip, and we want you to write down anything that you find nauseating, offensive, it hurts your eyeballs, anything that you can think of. We will trash it today. Even if it's a color that you don't like, lighting, anything that you can think of. Just write it down and we'll change it immediately. What's on the list? The decorations because I've heard people say lighting. I've heard that before. They say, that they have those specific overhead lights that can, give some people a headache or whatever the case may be, or hurt their eyes, whatever. I've heard that before. It can be a legitimate complaint. So, okay, we'll switch the lighting up. Even I've heard sometimes where the lighting can make noises. I've seen that too. That can really bother people too, give them a headache and all that sort of thing. So, no problem. We'll get that lighting changed up. Or asbestos, right? We don't have water. It could be legitimate things that are a part of whatever in this work environment that make it unsafe or unhealthy, or I just don't feel my best to be productive. But what's on the list for this white woman? You're not even here long enough to know what exactly is here that we have that you like, don't like, stresses you. Like, come on, 1 day a week, come on, man. Like, let's see, 11. She has no self-awareness. She thinks she is ready for a promotion, even though she is not performing at her current level. Zoe told me the role right-wing Ashley was considering applying for, a role that needs her in the office three. You're out your mind. Zoe should cope with it. Right-wing Ashley replied that she would be able to go into the office for the extra money. In other words, there's nothing wrong with her. That's what I mean. That is so flagrant. Like, wait a minute now. If this is a real mental health thing and you're struggling and all the rest of it, I mean, that's just what it is. It wouldn't be wait a minute, I'm going to get an extra $500. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, my headache is cleared. I'm ready to roll. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yep, we got it. Let's go. Come on, man. And I mean, really, that's another one. If this was a black person, as opposed to old right-wing Ashley, if this was a black person, Lakeisha, and she was pulling something like this. I got mental health issues, or whatever it is. I got ADHD, or, teaspoon of everything. And, the office decorations, whatever it is, the color, you got these office plants over here and they hurt my retina, whatever it is. They make my gout act up. I can only be here 1 day a week, and I'm stressed, and I want a promotion. And if I get the promotion and you say I got to be here 3 days a week, well, if I'm going to get some extra money, I'll tough it out and be here 3 days. What? They would have a private investigator so fast, like you are lying and making up stuff and trying to cheat out doing work and everything else, get all these accommodations that you haven't even earned. What does it mean to be white? And that's the sort of thing that I would document too. And even letting her lollygag and be at home all that time, because I've said that consistently, and that's one that Fuller would point out. When white people start talking on the job, sometimes a black person will be legitimate. They'll have like a legitimate health concern. It'll be a black person like, might be having a pregnancy or something like that. They might have, their mother might be sick and they want to go tend to them and get them some chicken noodle soup or whatever. They're like, oh, I don't know, Lakeisha, you go sick mother. It sound like you making up something. Like, wait a minute now. You let this white woman sit at home because she said the strobe lights were hurting her eyes. Y'all let her sit at home for 6 months. She can't get 2 weeks to go check on her sick mother. And Fuller said just having someone who had a record that, yes, you can make deviations in policy. Call it exceptions. Yes, from time to time, we do allow a white person, supervisor, manager, whatever it might be, we do give them discretion and say, well, we'll let Willie work from home for the next 3 months or the next 3 years, whatever it is. And we've heard that from a number of people. That's the sort of thing that I would write down too, because you never know. If you end up working at this company for 5 years or what have you, you might have a circumstance that pops up. Something serious, not a lie, something serious where you need some sort of accommodation, and you can say, well, hey, you all have done this before. She had XY situation, date, time, all of that, and she got said accommodation. Why can't, the same be made for me? Very important, because I've seen that in many workplaces where you would be surprised. The rules and the manual might be X, Y, and Z. Hey, we don't always have to follow the rules exactly as they are stated in the manual, and that's according to white people. So, hey, write it down when they deviate. You deviated once, you can do it again. You can do it for me. Email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Now, we'll have to say, there's one report. It could have been workplace racism. I could have played it today, but when I heard it, saw it immediately, my thought process was compensatory call-in, so I'm playing it tomorrow. But it could have been played today. They have a report. There was a school shooting in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee. You might say, huh, that happened again? Yes, again. They had the Covenant shooting there in 2023, and I think that was at the beginning of the year too, like February. So they kicked off the year with a bang, one more again. That happened, I think, 2 days ago on Wednesday. Tellingly, I'm watching this live time. I think it's one of the few times ever. So they had a school shooting, and I'm kind of watching this live time on the local news channel in Tennessee as it's unfolding. And you'll hear it tomorrow. It was so much about this that just wow. But they had a young lady, young black female, and she comes out, and she says, we had a substitute teacher, and the shooting happened and everything, and someone came on the loudspeaker, principal or whatever, I guess. He said, school's in a lockdown, get safe. Blah, blah, blah. He said they had a substitute teacher. She said the substitute teacher did not know the lockdown procedure, didn't even know how to lock the door. I was staggered. Now, this got repeated, and thankfully, I don't know, the announcers, they were like me, like, what? Did she just say the substitute teacher didn't lock the door? Like, what? What? When you play around with sex, your child might have a substitute teacher who does not know how to lock the door during a school shooting. Wow. Like, man, oh man. I talk about workplace safety all the time. That would be high on the list. I guess especially if you're going to be a school teacher, like, woo-wee. Reb and Dill shoot up the school all the time. This shooter was a black dude. Whew. But Reb and Dill shoot up the school all the time. What is the safety protocol? And I'm going to take really good notes. Do you have a printout of this? I'm still going to take good notes, but do you have a printout of all this information, maybe a handout, booklet, PDF file, something that I can, so I'll know how to lock the door? What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to go anywhere? Like, all of that. Like, wow. I mean, man, say the song I was playing with Colin about, say a prayer for the youth of America. I wouldn't even know how to say that. And Michael Scholes lives in Tennessee. He was just on the program a few months back. That's Isaiah Scholes' dad. He was killed at Columbine. It's been 26 years since Columbine. How much progress we made. The substitute teachers don't know how to lock the door during a shooting. I want to have that grace to say that could have been me. I could have been a substitute, and maybe I didn't pay attention. Maybe they didn't even cover how you lock the door, but that seems like such a basic, like, rudimentary thing. Lock. Woo, man. Say a prayer for the youth of America. We have listeners in Tennessee, too, who have children. Ugh. Folks who dialed in with a hand up. Oh, Bay Area mommy, not in Tennessee, but a teacher. Let's see. Do you know how to lock the door? If they should have, God forbid, we hope not, but if they should have a shooting at the school, do you know how to lock the door?
The front door? No. The room door?
Classroom
the classroom door? Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we have drills. We have those drills as well. So we're told to, make it like everybody has to be quiet. We stand back away from the windows and doors and things like that, and we cover anything that you can see through.
A plus.
And then there's a little code, like maybe you knock 3 times, but you gotta, that kind of thing, or they'll get on the intercom. It's safe, or something. So it's a code to it, and yeah. So yes, to answer your question, yes. Thank you for taking my call. Is it? I can ramble.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today, I've been waiting on this day since Monday, but we have the 4 because we have Martin Luther King. So I have the two children that probably need ABA to learn in school, and we don't have that system. So the BCBA, she came and brought supplies for the no one communicates, so they were just there. When she brought it, the person that was in session with the child didn't transfer the information to the rest of us. You have to almost ask, hey, what's this for? What's this? So it's a lot of like sand, chalkboard, tubs up at the top on shelves. So what this child will do is stack up the chairs. Very dangerous. So he'll stack 2 chairs so maybe he can reach it if it's all the way at the top. And just grab what he wants. Chips, anything he wants, whatever it is, he'll just make. And now he's using, I call it a sparring pad. What you use to block when you're, I'm only saying sparring because my children took martial arts, so those pads that you can protect yourself with and hold on to. So he even grabbed that because he couldn't reach the top to get to the things that he wants. That it wasn't designed like that for him to just do what he wants to do and just have all kind of stuff available for him just to do what he wants to do to keep him content. That's not what the stuff is for. I also noticed that instead of allowing him to go outside or taking him outside, in the room that he's in, so there's a room inside of a room. So he has 2 little windows, but there's a layer of tint on them, and it's complicated to see unless they're open. You have to kind of look through the opening to see out the window, versus in the rest of the other part of the second area of the room, or the main room, it has lots of windows. But what they're doing now is pulling the blinds down so he can't see outside, because the whole outside is land, a park, and grass. So he'll hear the geese, and he'll hear the dogs. So they don't want him to hear the dogs because no one wants to take him outside except for me. And it's not a big deal to take the child out in the front. It's not a big deal. So it's like, oh, dogs aren't available. Why are they not available? So now, because I'll say it's not available, so now, oh, everyone says what I say. It's not available. Why is it not available? How come he can't go outside? Well, it's too cold out there. But when the head teacher tells you to take another child outside, you immediately do it because you have to. So how come he can't go outside? It's the same outside. No problem. So that creates behaviors, and he'll start doing different things, but I'm not there. So when I do come, I don't have the time that I used to have to, because we put together a program, so he has to do academics. I don't really have the leisure to just hang out with him like that. So it's timed now, his outside time with me, but I still give him outside time. We met dogs, and he loves dogs now. And it took a bit to get him not afraid of the dogs. So he loves dogs now. We love dogs. And so to get him juiced up, he was just like, oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to meet the next dog show. Oh, I'm so excited, too. I was like, you excited? I'm excited. Oh, my God, me, too. We're going to go for walks. I was like, and I'll do one. And he'll look back to see if I'm, going to count for number 2, the next thing. Okay. And then you're going to feed them. You'll take care of them. So that's 3. We go for walks. Take naps. Because they're big nappers. Oh, yeah, they are big nappers. He's so cute. So he's such and such dog school. Like, oh, you're going to have a dog school. Yeah. So I allow him to go out. If I see a dog that's familiar, we're going outside. We're putting our shoe protectors on, and we're out. I have him pushing into his general education class. We do that in the morning. I even created these workbooks for him. I even created 2 workbooks and sent them home to his mom because she didn't even know he knew anything. So I'm like, he knows a lot of stuff. He could add, subtract. He could even speak Spanish. So please don't sleep on him. It's like, here, I got these for you. I need you to work with him with this stuff, too, at home. If you want him to do something, oh, you want some gum out of my purse? No problem. Here, do a page of math, or that kind of stuff, or whatever it is. Just you can get him to do it. So versus allowing him to have so much control. So with the so much control, with the new things that he got from the BCBA, this is the free-for-all. So the other day, he took home some putty. It's a putty in a can. Very peaceful. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's black and it sparkles. It's beautiful. And then there's a clear one. He had 2. So he took one home. So, okay. I was like, you're not taking another one home. So I had to let him know. So he had ABA yesterday. So he ended up going to sleep by the time I came back there. And then on Tuesday, he was asleep from 9:30 all the way until it was time to go home at almost 3 o'clock. I was livid because there's no excuse for why he just goes to sleep when I leave. And then when I come back, he's knocked out. So really, I guess I'm getting mad now. So that's just stupid. We need quiet. Quiet. Go home. If you want some quiet, go home. Go home. This is a school. Quiet. These kids hopping and hollering and screaming and somersaulting all through the halls. Quiet. So he fell asleep. He had the putty in his hand, like sleep in the hammock, yesterday. So I'm looking at everything, just taking all out of the boxes, taking out everything. He's just doing what he wants to do. That's not why it was there. And I haven't even talked to the lady about the supplies, but I have enough sense to know she didn't just buy that stuff for him to just take what he wants home every day. So I had to tell the young lady that likes to date these gentlemen at work, or the gentleman at work, I said, hey, he's got to earn this stuff. So when he wants something, you ask him which one you want. Choose. You don't have 3 or 4 different colors of sand. No, pick one. That's it. But the other, oh, you done with this? Okay, pick something else. I said, I didn't give him all. I said, but when I come to you, he has everything. All I'm asking you to do is tidy up and don't allow him to have so much control. I created chip pass thing for him, and chip passes, he'll just go in the teacher's room and just get whatever, help himself to all kind of chips, and just he'll eat chips all day. So I said, no, he's going to have 3 passes a day, however he spends them, and that's it. I noticed the adults, one particular adult is eating his chips. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to put the least preferred, which is pirate booties, in there, and maybe I'm going to hide the other Doritos and all that stuff and hide it. and then maybe I'll replenish it. However I do it, but you're not, no. We could just do the power booties. He'll eat that, and I don't need the adults eating the Doritos or letting him eat up everything. He'll eat say for instance, if in his container I put 7 bags of chips, all 7 will be gone by the time I get back at 11. Now leave at 9, come back at 11:40. He's ate everything. I came back today, he ate up he used all his chip passes. By 11:40, he had no more chip passes. Why? I make sure he eats breakfast. I'm bringing him his lunch at 11:40. How come he's eating 3 bags of chips on top of the little gummy yummies, the little gummy things? So yesterday, after ABA, because what I stopped doing too is helping that lady that does ABA. You bring your own RBT. I'm not helping you. I'm going to do something else. I'm not helping you with him. No. So you got it. It's your session for 2 hours. Good luck. So that's what I do to her, and I don't think she likes that, but it's not my job to help her run her session. It's your job to run your session, and you bring your own RBT if you need help. So he went to sleep. By the time I came back up, he's knocked out in the hammock. On Tuesday, knocked out in the hammock. So I just think it's crazy. And then even in the other child that I have, the one that I have to change his pull-ups. I do his academics. I make sure I made a block in my schedule to make sure that I'm able to at least do 2 sets of academics with him and then still spend time with him and play with him. He goes to class in the morning. You walk by his general education class, he's just sitting at a circle table, just sitting there playing. What's the point of him being in class? What's the point of him going to class, his general ed class, just to sit there and you sitting there on your phone and the kids just sitting there playing? To where this child, the one who just changed, he'll take a whole bucket and throw it across the class and bop somebody in the head with the bucket. How is that happening? So it's interesting, on top of the fact that since the principal said he wasn't going to come back, we're getting a whole lot of different people coming in and out of there, because I think a lot of people are, even the school psychologist announced this week that she's not coming back in June. She's retiring. So I don't know, it's getting real strange, so I don't know who's going to come forward and replace any of these people, but they're looking non-black. So if it's going to change that drastically after making it to where it was more black people at the school, more black staff, more black students, I don't know. So I'll mute my line, and thank you for taking my call.
Much obliged, Bay Area mom. Wow. Thank you for sharing. You play around with sex. The joke is on the offspring. We had a report like a week ago. I think it was Saturday. I think it was on the compensatory call-in this past Saturday. We had a report where in California, or it started in California, banning red dye number 40 in foods because they were saying, specifically they mentioned the impact that it has on children who are more sensitive, and they said they think it might even be contributing to things like ADHD and their brain computer working appropriately and such. So she just, Bay Area mom, talked about all the crazy foods and such that they're allowing these young people to eat down in California, Bay Area, and she mentioned the Doritos specifically, and even that the staff is coming and munching, eating up all the snacks that are for the little people. And the Doritos is mentioned, and I said, oh wow, Doritos, huh. I wonder if they have red dye number 40. Yes, Doritos have red dye number 40 and yellow number 5 and yellow number 6. Now, they didn't ban those other two. They just banned red number 40. But all that's exactly what they've been talking about in the news right now. And saying like, ooh, the impact that we've seen, chemicals like this, edibles that are not food, poisons, toxins, the impact that this has on young brain computers, especially people that are already vulnerable, people that might already have issues and all the rest of it, special needs and all of that. Oh man, this is horrible. We want to get them natural foods. We don't need no Doritos. Probably not even any Pirate's Booty. For people who don't know, that's supposed to be like a healthier option. I think Z's mom, she had the best easy way to grasp. When we say ultra processed, and you want to avoid ultra processed and just eat whole foods, natural foods, ultra processed, what you want to avoid, these are things. Can I make this at my house, at my residence? Or do you need all kinds of fancy equipment? Something like Pirate's Booty. Most of us could probably not easily make Pirate's Booty at home. I think that might be one that you need some equipment and such to make. Ultra processed. I haven't tried it myself, but I suspect that it could be. Why not fruits? We're in California, dare I say. Oranges? Even in fact, eating less food. And they're in California. They got farmers markets, man. Like, I just was telling folks, man, I was in California going to the farmers market. They could have went to Berkeley Bowl, man. They could have got watermelon and squash, and I mean, eating good. Ain't no reason to have no Doritos for children who need the most. It's no reason. It's no reason. Even the little gummies and stuff, they have totally plant-based. The same thing that we have here. They have vegan jelly beans and such that do not have any of those goofy food colorings or anything like that, aren't loaded up with sugar and all the rest of it. Plant-based, natural would be much healthier, much better for you, generally a lot more expensive. Not always, but generally. But why all this nonsense? And then so much of it. So much of it. What is that for? And that would be another one like, hey, when you turn your little children, little Leroy, little Lakeisha, when you turn them over to these race soldier, generally white women teachers, it's not just the racist concepts that they give to these children. It's frequently setting them up for horrendous health patterns in terms of the volume of food and then the types of food that they eat. I mean, come on. And we've heard this over and over again. The Chips Ahoy and Lunchables and Doritos and Soda Pop and all of this. They up just recently. We're talking, man, maybe we shouldn't have all these soda machines in the school. Come on. Come on. Let's see. And the lack of structure, just all of this. When you play around with sex and you dump your children off to just any old race soldier to raise and educate, man, no structure. And again, these are children with special needs. Aren't they supposed to have like specific individualized educational plans, academic goals, and all of that? Nah. Whatever. Just throw a bag of Doritos in there, let them have it. You know, whatever. Nah. She said, little fella in there that she works with specifically, he slept from 9 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon. Wow, that's like the whole day. That is literally the whole school day. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, no structure at all. No effort, no plan. Like, what I mean, if you want to talk about pipeline, there you go. Why does it even have a hammock? Like, are you serious? You literally, you let this child come She said, if I was here in the Times, because so school is at 9. It's not like they're starting school at 6 or something. She was saying he comes in, school starts at 9. I guess they give them these food passes, or a delectable Negro. They get these food passes or whatever, and they can come and get, whatever, snack Doritos and all the red dye number 40 they want to gobble down. She said he had used up all the passes before 11. What? This is not like somebody who is going to be like an Olympic triathlete. This is not somebody who, is playing, is a professional track athlete and running in, 3 or 4 different competitions this week. And, I got to make sure I get in 3,000 calories. That is not the case at all. Why are they being allowed to eat so much? Like, what is that? Oh, so you just stuff, and then not just eat so much, but eating lots of bad food. You stuff them with all this bad food. Nobody even just say, like, why do you even need so many of these passes? Like, maybe one. Maybe. And if you say you're still, hey, you can't just eat all these chips, slip some apples, slip some fruit. We can't just eat chips all day long. That is, come on. Even if it was the healthiest. They got hippies. These are chickpea. They got them at Berkeley Bowl. Chickpea puffs. They don't have all that food dyes and chemicals, and they get the red dye, that's DYE, and then they got the diversity, inclusion, equity, that's DIE. No vitality for either one. But they got these hippies, chickpea puffs. They have those in California, and probably made those in California. I have to look at the bag the next time I get some. But they could have that. If you get Pirate's Booty, you could get those. They even have that at Costco, man. The chickpeas, they are way healthier. Don't have all those crazy ingredients. Now, that would still qualify as ultra processed, because I would say that also is something that you probably couldn't make at home easily without a lot of fancy equipment. But it's way better than Doritos, like not even close. Way better. Get that and then get some fruit, and we're, in business. And then a hammock, like why is there a hammock? I could see maybe if this is structured activity. If that's like a reward, you got a lot of work done, you completed this, you got really high assignments and all that, maybe you get 30 minutes in the hammock, you can go out and chill and read or just lounge, look at the flowers, see if it's any dogs, bird watch, get some binoculars, whatever, get your 30 minutes and chill. But what? Like just, I'm going out there and chill, I'm not doing no work, I'm going out there and chill, maybe take my Doritos. I'm like, what? Pipeline to prison. And then they eat his chips while he's, outside. And then she said too, she had mentioned this last week, she said they don't want to take him outside. She said she's the only one who will take the child outside where he, seems like he's interested in the animals and things, and if he sees a dog, he'll want to go out there or whatever it is. Like, hey, any sort of enthusiasm, let's encourage that. That can be that we are in California. Many people around the world are enamored with the landscape and geography of California, wildlife even. Yes, let's go outside. We can study all of that. Oh, nah. That's not available. That's not available. That's not available. Sorry, Leroy. That's not available. They got the whole jargon. Then he looks at, well, wait a minute. Other people, they asked and it was available. What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on? That's what that is. She said he'd get upset, and then see, genius IQ. My eyeballs work now. I'm sitting here. I want to go outside. We're in California. We're in the Bay. I want to go see Golden Gate Bridge. I want to go outside. Maybe some critters out there. That's not available. Quiet now, Leroy. That's not available. Then you got these other folks, probably some white people or whatever, even if they weren't. They ask, why do they get to go outside? Even if there is, you should tell me what the reason. Maybe they did their work, Leroy. If you do your work, you too can go outside. Let me get this. I'm getting my work done now. We could do it that way. Nope. That's not available. That's not. I don't get no explanation. I'm not worthy of no, nothing. What kind of structure do you have with this, man? And then they set me up to get upset, as I'm supposed to. I see other people get to go outside and, see, it's we got a pipeline for old Leroy. You see, right now, he's going to be a problem. Pitiful. Worthy of great again. Now, hey, this is what you can expect when you play around with sex. This is what your offspring can expect when you play around with sex. Much obliged, Bay Area mom, at least doing her a little bit. I'll be the one person. We are not just coming here to warehouse you in the office or, let you go sleep comfortably and undisturbed from 9 to 3 and stuff you with potato chips and Doritos the limited time that you are. I mean, come on, man. Like, black self-respect to Bay Area mom. Let's see. Other folks, number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. She said she knows how to lock the classroom door at her school. They have drills. Isn't that worthy of a cry? They have drills. What to do? We have a lockdown. They have rib and vodka. If they come to shoot and blow up the school, ow, this is the code. And you should have a code for all of that. How do you lock the facility down? What is even the code for a lockdown, so that everybody knows what's the code, for when the lockdown is over and all the rest of it, and stay away from the windows and shield your head and blah, blah, blah. And, maybe even you need a code if you are a teacher and you get locked outside of the classroom, maybe, so you got to just go to a random classroom. Maybe you got to know the code to knock on the door so they know, is this red and vodka or is this one of ours? Should we open? Like, maybe you got all of that has to be codified. And again, like I said, they had the substitute teacher. She didn't know none of that. That's got to be a part of the code too, because you might have the people, they started the year here, they work here every day, so they've been here for the drills and all that. They know what the code is. We have to accommodate for the fact that, we got some people that, Larry is a substitute, so his first day is today. He don't know nothing about the code, so we got to have something together made and make that a part of the package. When Larry check in or whatever, bam, safety, here it is. Now, we have any sort of Columbine activity, this is how you lock the door. Boom. This is the code, to knock. This is the knock to listen out for. Boom, boom, boom. And all the rest of it. Sound like it might even be one you might have to tell the children. Jesus, Lord. Especially if they're old enough. You might have to tell the children. This is the code for the lockdown. This is the code for, because the teacher could be incapacitated. You could have a substitute that day. Lots of things. Woo. That's something to think about when you have offspring too, yes? Planet without justice. Disgraceful. Let's see. We'll give folks another 5 minutes or so, see if they have thoughts, observations, if race soldiers behaved themselves for the King holiday. Did the inauguration come up? I don't know if folks had to watch all that at work, or people tried to goad you into saying something about all that, even talk bad about Snoop. I don't know. But let us know that or any other workplace racism related activities. We'll be here tomorrow, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call in. We'll catch up on what has transpired over the past 7 days or so in 2025, third week of 2025. Certainly with the pardoning of the January 6th insurrectionists and that shooting in Nashville, amongst many other things. But that'll be tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we should have updates for some of the programs coming up at the top of the week as we close out our first full month of 2025. Invest if you think the C.O.W.S is constructive. Hit the blog racism-notes.blogspot.com. racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button in the top right corner. Beneath the button, you'll see the links for Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal. Enormous gratitude to all of the investors who have kept us on the air for 16 years. Hopefully, we have been constructive more often than not, accurate more often than not, worthy of your time and energy through all what is that, 4 different presidential administrations. Still haven't solved the problem. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Anyhoodles, last few moments, make sure we didn't miss anybody. Other folks are spectating or withholding goodies that they picked up in the workplace. As we kind of move, since we're kind of in the new beginning of the new year, folks can kind of let us know. This will be ongoing. I'd asked before about how artificial intelligence is being used or encroaching into your workplace, and even encouraged myself, all of us, we should kind of be being mindful about how this is changing. Like, I'm talking about our specific field, whatever you happen to do. I saw earlier they were talking about AI in law, medicine, education, anything you can think of, cuisine, anything you can think of. All of us should be kind of paying attention to how is that encroaching into our specific careers, or even your specific job. And then let us know, like, are you being trained? Is this like you're going to be working in conjunction with AI, so it'll be maybe, hopefully, a little easier for you to get those promotions and raises and such? Is this going to be like an extinction thing where, wow, the AI works so good, we don't even need Leroy anymore. Whoopee, we didn't want him here, no way. That type of thing. Like, what does it look like? Is it changing rapidly? Is this looking, like they're saying the way this job is done now is going to be obsolete by 2030, 2035, like all of that. Be mindful and updating, and kind of let us know how this is encroaching into your way. I can say even for the C.O.W.S, like now we have AI doing the narration for the book club, which not everybody loves, but I mean, even to make it possible to have quality narration from a non-person where they can read any book that is digitized, or it doesn't even really have to be digitized, but just any writing that you can get on the screen. Like, wow, that is something. Like, they did not exactly have that technology 10 years ago, probably even fewer than that, but definitely they didn't have that technology 10 years ago. They didn't have that technology 20 years ago. It will probably refine, I suspect, in less than 10 years, probably even less than 5 years. It'll be pretty easy. We could probably get an app and record ourselves for like 60 seconds, and then you could have like high quality, like the best version of yourself narrating anything, like something you wrote, the Bible, like anything, and you could have a whole recording of it, and bam, and you didn't even, read a sentence, but just have yourself probably even be goofy, have you talking to what have you, and we'll probably have that. If it's not here already, that sort of technology will be here in probably 5 years. I would say max 10 years. I would say probably less than 5 years. Like, that is astounding, especially looking at the scope of things. But if it kind of continues on that trajectory, let us, and that's why I said, like, that is something to be talking to your children about and investigating, because it's just like, wow, like, what, all that Elon Musk and all of them up there, they're talking about investing all this money, like, wow. What does that product look like, 10 years from by the time we hit 2040? What does that look like? 2050? What does that look like? Frightening, especially considered Elon Musk. Now, we keep hearing him for workplace racism. It's always about non-white employees being abused. Tesla, SpaceX, same thing. Non-white people being abused. Now, why would I think that's not going to continue? White House administration and beyond. Maybe be extenuated out beyond in the universe. Presidential power now. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, proceed. Let's see. Our caller down in Florida should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Gus, I mentioned recently about doing the passport recertification modules, and at the end it has the unconscious bias section. And I haven't finished that part yet because I've been really just kind of paying attention to how it's structured, and it's structured way differently than the other parts of learning the passport process and being an acceptance agent. So it has one part where it's saying that a father and I don't even know if it's worded where it's saying a father and his child, a father and a child or something. The wording seems to go like that, like it doesn't want to say any kind of like, I guess, gender type of pronouns or something. So it says a father and the child get in a car accident and the child goes to get surgery and the doctor says, I can't operate on this child. This is my son or something like that. And then it has a box under it saying, like, what does this mean? Or like trying to get you, meaning me or whoever's taking this test to say, like, is that saying that, is this a female or is it, two fathers or what? And I believe I put maybe the child has two fathers or something. So, and I clicked on submit and it actually said correct. Like this could be one of the scenarios. So it was just something I never even seen before, the way that they put these examples on here. And if I could share two more from this passport thing, it was a picture of a elderly black grandmother, and it had in writing over to the left saying that, well, picture that. I guess they're trying to show examples of these being customers. Picture that this is someone who reminds you of your favorite relative or something. And it's implying that the person, I guess in the example, is going to help this person who I guess is this black female in the picture to help get her ID corrected because there was an issue with the ID to get the passport. And once that example was done, they try to say at the end that that's a form of unconscious bias. And then the next image is someone that looks like a white person, and saying that, well, imagine that this person reminds you of your least favorite relative. So, and it's saying that in the example for the white person, that you take in their application and you don't tell them something about a part of their application, and just because the example is trying to say that either the person in the example doesn't, I guess, like the person, or the person reminds them of their least favorite relative. So I was like, what in the world is this? And they're trying to say all of this is unconscious bias. And they kept using that term. It was either unconscious bias or automatic assumptions. Okay? And it's talking about things like fight or flight and who represents as a threat. And I'm like, this is just for being a passport agent. Like, why go into all of these things? So I know it was mentioned in the gender issue or the gender language, gender neutrality. So they say you can't address as Mr. or Mrs. Or a husband or wife. You got to use, I guess, spouse. It's recommended to use spouse. So I really wanted to mention that. And there was one other report that I got this week from a victim of racism, said that another victim went into the HR area, and this white woman who replaced the warden as HR, she, I guess, was surprised or I guess shocked to see her or whatever. And she tells this young black female that, oh, well, you know what? I almost crapped myself because I didn't know what you were coming to see me for. So I said that I would write that down, because why would you even have a reaction like that? I just thought that it would be an act of racism, white supremacy. And other than that, that's all I have to share right now. And I'll have some more on the next one. Thank you, sir.
Wow. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse in Florida. Wow, that I was listening to all that, and I said, see there, that right there, on multiple accounts, that is exactly why we got 4 more years. Donald Trump said, I got to come in on day one, exactly what he said. Did you hear that? Maybe the Chinese can't even say she, he, maybe it has 2 fathers. Trump said, we done. We done. That's Biden foolishness. We done. And then you can't even say husband or wife. That. Partner. Oh, he said spouse. Well, that would work too. That would work too. My spouse, your spouse, yes. Partner, that's another one that they give out Tuesday. Partner. We read husband, wife. Number 47. We're going to have male, female, That's it. Oh, he talked about the past, but we ain't doing no binary. He said the fella that came in before, he told us, he said, these folks that's doing all this changing, they tend to be the people who's classified as white. The blue hair and all that, it tends to be the white peoples that started out as Ted, and now we're going to do Tina. Got to be real careful about things. Yes. Correct. Yes. Have a great day. Thank you for coming in. Can't say sir. Whoa, 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 whoa. Melee at the courthouse. See, that's what he's trying to say. We're not even giving out passports. I think they had news reports said, come in there and try and do it if you want to. Say you want to put that I'm with the non-binary. And all, I forgot the one he said gender neutral and gender non-conforming, all that jargon that you want to come in and say, I got contempt for gender. You don't just limit me to being a male and a female. This other show, these It's a new day. That's all we got. Male and female. That's it. That is, especially if that does come in like, ooh-wee. You start seeing some of them blue-haired white folks coming in there and say, well, it might have said male then, but Tina is my spirit. I feel Tina. Them folks have to start saying, no. 47 said, You had to go back to Ted. Sorry. You keep the blue hair. You say, passport going to have to say Ted. I can't live. Woo. Anyway, he went forward. He said, that they got the bot. I don't know what all that has to do, because that sounded deep. See, that's why he said too, we're done. We're not doing no more of this diversity and bias and all that. New day. We done. Old DEI hire Kamala Harris and all the rest of that. We are done. I can see why he said, imagine this is your most favorite relative. He put up an elderly black person. What? What? What is going on? I said, what? And they trying to get the identification. What does this have to do with the past? He said that, what does the elderly grandmother have to do with the passport again? What? He said and then they said, okay, now we got elderly grandma, she your favorite, and now imagine we got the white woman, this is going to be your least favorite. I said they probably thought about that a lot. Say we're going to make sure we don't have this old black female being the one that we hate and couldn't do it that way. We do it the other way. Yeah. So we put the white woman up and say, person that you hate, talking about all the unkind. What? Even that, I don't understand, none of this. He said, what does this have to do with the passport thing again? Because you got these wacky racial classifications, and now we got all this gender stuff. What does this have to do with the passport? What are y'all? What is this related to the racial classification thing? Maybe. I don't even because I'm thinking this seems more like a just general purpose, working the front desk type of a thing, as opposed to. It would be very specific about getting this form filled out. A lot of it, I thought you said this, the person is filling this form out. I'm just here as an administrator. Make sure it's done correctly. You got everything checked out correctly and didn't skip nothing, paid the appropriate fee and all that stuff. I don't have the form in hand. Oh yeah, this is multiracial. That's not how it goes. I can't even grasp, man, all other than to say, I can see why the Donald would say, oh yeah, we about to streamline all of this. We gonna get all this out here. This is about to take 30 seconds. All this that y'all doing right now take 2 days to get done. We about to make this a 30-second process. Let's get to it. Let's see. She said the white person was there, and the black person came over. I guess they were surprised or whatever. Said, oh my Lord, I almost crapped myself. That's a little, I would definitely write it down, but we are in the workplace, people come by, customers, and all the rest of it come by, wave. Patrons even come by. It's a pretty big building, I gather. That's kind of odd. I mean, unless the black person was like tiptoeing and, in stealth mode, whispering, and they were trying to do some sort of gotcha type thing. But I mean, if they're just walking normally, business, I was not trying to scare you. I did not leap out from behind a filing cabinet. Like, what is your problem? What is, much less, I almost crapped myself. Like, whoa, I need a restroom break. Give me 3 minutes to check. Like, what? I can't even, wow. I will be, do I need to announce when I come in the office? If you want me to knock, I'll knock. Hey, hello, did you hear? Okay, black person is getting close. I'm coming. We want to make no bowel movements today. Okay, you see me? All right. I'm going to leave. I'm not going to come back. I mean, come on. That's embarrassing. Like, but white genetic annihilation, and I always, it's just white people saying that they're afraid of black people. You're in charge, man. You all just make up little goofy reasons. That's, in my view, that's the same kind of, oh, Lord, where's the panic button? We got to go upside. Oh, okay. You thought you was coming trying to pull something. Like, come on. It's always some sort of, niggers, we got to go beat them down. I was afraid, so we can go and knock them upside the head and choke them out and get the panic button and get 15, 20 white people to pile in and club them upside the head and all that old nonsense. Like, are you serious? For me doing what? Breathing? That would be the sort of thing I would look at. Does she have this sort of intense fear response to just a white person walking normally in the office area, talking, not tiptoeing, doing normal business things? They have that sort of start. Oh, my Lord, what are you trying to do? I thought you were trying to kill me. Woo, my nerves. Woo, Lord, Jesus. Does that sort of thing? Like, come on. And just like I said, that's so, like, crass even. I almost crapped myself. Like, really? Why wouldn't it just be, oh, you scared me? Oh, I didn't even see you. I almost crapped. Wow. I got to write that down for lots of reasons. Woo. All righty. You want me to put the bells on? That's what they do to the kittens, right? Because they say they're so still. You want me to wear some bells? That way I'll always jingle when I walk. They do that to some of the slaves. So they would slide and always trying to get off the plantation. They would make them wear bells. You want me to get bells? We're in the office place? Man. Much of that is, see, he's had so many about the passports, because it's got racial classification on the page. And he's told us before, we don't help. Same way Fuller says, you don't help. See, with the question, they're supposed to fill all that out. Am I multiracial? Ma'am, we don't fill out the form. You fill out the form. I just do the processing. I just witness and do the process. But it is fascinating because you could learn so much. But I didn't hear where they went into all that extra detail about the racial classifications and, what do you do when someone is multiracial, and what do you do when they ask you about all this? They didn't do all that, which I think is important. If you want to talk about racism, that would be one to talk about. Give us some clarification. What do you do when somebody comes and says, I don't know if I'm a white person. Am I a white person? What are we supposed to say then? You put all that detail on that one, because I might even have a few questions. And other people might have questions too, but they didn't do that. They just want to sit and talk about, spouses and all that old goofy nonsense, favorite relatives and nonsense, and your least favorite, which I don't even I cannot even begin. Like, my least favorite relative. For some people, my least favorite relative, that's not somebody that I would mistreat. That's not somebody that I would lie to. You just don't get an extra piece of sweet potato pie on Christmas. That's all. For them, that's my least favorite relative. For other people, oh, I'm gonna pee in your cornflakes. Literally, my least favorite. Ooh, I hate Uncle. Like, what are you? That's no metaphors. I said everything. No metaphors. I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, let's get down to business. If you got something, and even let's even rewind all the way. What does this have to do with the census form? With the passport form again? Explain all that to me. Like, what? Like, I don't even, what now? Again, if they had just come in and said that this was general staff training, we just want to make sure that everybody, is being courteous and professional when they deal with customers here at the window. I don't say, oh, okay, I got it. That's, I guess. Now, they still think, like, is this the best way to do this with your least favorite relative? We can get to that later, but, like, what does this have to do with the passport photo again? Passport application? Like, what? I thought it should just be procedural, like real. Boom, fill this out. Boom, boom, boom. Don't help them with the form. Boom, boom. These boxes, they got to blank. That's what this should be, not spouse, partner, racially. And she said, I got to go back because it threw me. Now, because they have riddles like that. If they get in a car wreck and the dad is with, now they don't say it, but if they have a car wreck and the dad is there and it is there too, and they get to the hospital, they have riddles and things that are like that. Now they don't have the punchline being that, hey, maybe it has two fathers. That's not the punchline, but they do have that as a riddle. Importantly, he said, now I'm gonna put the answer down that maybe the child, has two fathers. That is a smart black boy right there. See, I told you we got a good job. Excellent. A+. He said, now, I don't think I've ever had anybody come up here and they got two fathers. Like, I'm going to guess that such a person exists, but we ain't had that. Now, we have interviewed a dad who said he was gay. They adopted a child, and that child, two fathers. He died last year. Kevin Fisher Paulson, suspected race soldier, and he was an enforcement official, so he had a nigger knocker. He would answer to the panic button, perhaps. Lived in San Francisco, no less. He just died, didn't make it to 2025. But such people do exist who have two daddies. He said I ain't seen that at the court. To your knowledge, we'll even add that because maybe you didn't ask enough questions. Maybe you just didn't, if you had spent more time or what have you. Oh, wow, we did have a fellow with two dads, or a fellow, he's a dad and he's got another dad and they got a little person at, wow, I didn't know. Wonders never cease. They said, dang, that's what, I guess they want you to be flexible and not upset about any of that in the system of white supremacy racism. That predominantly would be who that would be because that's Kevin Fisher Paulson is a white man and his partner was white and they got a black child. Lots of that. But I'm no problem. That's still kind of, that's odd. We gotta have all this, make sure that's in my brain computer that this person might have two dads. All right. If that day comes, I'm ready. I'm right there. Like, yep, I was already thinking that was a possibility. Like, yep, here it is. Two dads. Bam. I didn't blink an eye. I didn't, get upset or nothing like that. Two dads. Okay. Filled out the form and kept moving. Woo. That's one right there. I will be so glad all this is going to be AI very soon. We can count down the hours, all of that. You're transgender, blah, blah, blah. And maybe the AI will already know all of this. It can be automatically sent out and won't have to be no human person involved in none of that. About no spouse and partner, and I'm about to get in trouble because I said, oh, thank you, sir. Whoa. AI is going to take all that over, so you won't have to do this for very much longer. But wow, that is fascinating. If you all get to any more racial components in all of that. Yes, how do you do the racial classification? What do you do if they have questions or they're multiracial and, all that? I guess if it dominates with all that gender confusion stuff, that might be, significant too, and two dads and 8 moms. All of that. Woo, wacky times on the plantation. Anyway, let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. See, we'll give folks like 2 minutes to make sure we didn't miss any other folks. If we have folks in California, man, I don't know if the California period, Southern Cal, wherever, if all of the wildfires and such have impacted you in any way. I mean, I don't know, in any way. If you're a non-white person and you work outside, that's been impacted. Yes, the air quality, and you might not even be working. Are you a non-white person and you have a business that's been impacted by all that? Man, the fires in Southern California, they closed parts of the 405 at different junctures briefly because of the wildfires. They didn't know if it was going to go out onto the road, and I mean, man, like, just wow. Like, it has been a rough beginning to 2025 for California. I mean, I hope that is not an omen for things to come, although many people have written and forecasted this exactly, and escalating apocalypses for the Golden State, that this is just, yes, a harbinger of what is to come for down yonder, unfortunately. But man, if we have non-white people who have been impacted, let us know, impacted in any way, and even beyond in California. I don't know, like if they're in school, talking about all of that, all of the massive dislocation of non-white people. I mean, like tens of thousands, it could even be more than that, of non-white people because of all of this. And California is such a high rent place anyway. You even had people who, they didn't lose their job, they didn't lose their house because of the fire, but because of the fire, now they no longer have a place to work. They're going to have to relocate. Or they lost their house, everything else is fine, but they can't find temporary housing that is affordable, so they're going to have to move. New job, new everything. Eep. Lots to consider. Like, man, you talk about a geographic location, there is lots to consider. Am I in a place where it's likely to have a fire, likely to have hurricanes, some sort of natural disaster? Particularly, do we live in an environment where they might have one of these frequently? So we might be talking about, man, having to miss days from work, plan to evacuate, and the expense of all that. It's a lot to think about, especially if you're talking about relocating. Someone, I'm going to relocate to California, like, oh my goodness, like, I wouldn't care how great that job is, the opportunity, and I always want to live in California. That would be something to think about. Like, whew, there are pros and cons. What are the cons to relocating to this environment? Oh, the wildfires, yes. That's a double whammy con. Like, we really, really have to think, like, wow, that might offset all the goodies of this move to have to be there, and how disruptive all that can be for your career, housing, hell, I mean, you just run the line. I mean, whoa, that is something to consider. Even Area 8 that we are, I mean, hey, if your house burns down, that might include the bed, yes? All areas of people activity devastated. So, yeah, that's something to think about in terms of relocating for a job and where you are, like what sort of, bad things might be a possibility from being in this location. Again, shouts, thoughts, prayers to the folks in California impacted in a myriad of ways, impacted by all this. Even lots of black prisoners, that's their job. Get out there and get those flames down, boy, for $2 a day and a bag of roasted peanuts. Any hoodles. Looks like, make sure didn't miss any emails as well. Did I see? Okay. I think I did good. Did not miss any emails and got all the calls. Grant will be here on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Like I said, that school shooting in Nashville, where the substitute teacher allegedly did not know the lockdown plan, did not know how to lock the door during a school shooting. Wow. They had 2 fatalities during the school shooting. This was Wednesday. They had 2 fatalities. So we'll hear more on that. The inauguration, lots of other things went down this year week, which was also the King holiday, lost in the shuffle. And updates, programs for next week. White people kicking off the year with white guests on the program, even discussing some of the current events with the election and such. But we'll have more updates or details on that tomorrow. Much obliged for folks tuning in, hopefully worthy of your Friday evening. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy, especially, man, with the workplace and everything. Dry January, like all that happy hour talk and everything, especially if you're on a new job. Dry January. You can make it sound real pretty. Like, man, I put on that Holloway 10 pounds and drunk all that eggnog and stuff and ate all that good food with my relatives, man, and I can't even do it, man. The doctor shook his finger in my face all nasty and everything and told me I had better be dry January and dry February and dry August and dry December too. So, yeah, I can't do no happy hour because, yeah, they're gonna get me. I got to get some of this flab off. You can pretty it up real nice. Now, what they gonna say? Oh, that's how you go on a stick. You got more male power than me because I'm going to get some right now. Dry January. Use that one, and you can just ride that one all the way into June. I'm dry June too. Ride it all the way. Any hoodles. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name-calling black people. We just had Dr. King's holiday on Monday. Black History Month is lurking for next week. That can be one thing we can do in earnest. Maybe I'm not going to stick to my dry January. Maybe I'm not going to stick to my eating more veggies and fruits and all that good stuff. But at minimum, for Dr. King, for Black History Month, Dr. Carter G. Woodson, I'm not going to name call black people. Maybe you could even extend it out to victims of white supremacy in total, but at minimum, I am not going to name call black people to start my 2025. No gossiping. No throwaway offspring. Why have a child? Send them to school for them to sleep from 9 a.m. to 3 in the afternoon in a hammock. But that, sure enough, is a thrown away child by white people. That should be thought about before you get to the bed. Are we just having this child so that we can send them to school to be asleep in the hammock from 9 to 3? Because if that's the case, do we really need to have this child? Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed.
I'm a victim, brother.
Problem. You're a victim.
Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning.
Shut up.
The man has programmed my conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Even my conditioning has been conditioned.